Last time, we told you about 12 one-hit wonders and where life took them, and you asked for more. So we went digging again, and what we found this time might be even better. A man who quit fame on purpose days before his second single. A voice that sang a lullaby to a baby you now watch on television. And one of the greatest injustices in music history, with an ending so unexpected, we saved it for last. 12 more songs you know by heart. 12 more names you were never told. Let's go. We start with the strangest career decision in pop history. You Get What You Give, New Radicals, 1998. That joyful, fist-pumping anthem was everywhere. And then, in July of 1999, before the band's second single had even come out, frontman Greg Alexander issued a press release and simply quit. He dissolved the band on purpose at the peak because he hated fame, the interviews, the touring, the whole machine. But here's the twist. He never stopped writing. He just went invisible. That's his pen behind Santana's The Game of Love, which won him a Grammy. That's him behind Murder on the Dance Floor. Yes, the song that took over the internet again thanks to a certain movie. He even earned an Oscar nomination for Lost Stars from the film Begin Again. And the band reunited exactly once, more than 20 years later, to play at a presidential inauguration because their one hit had been the favorite song of the president's late son. Years later, he described fame as a kind of Hotel California, a prison you check into and can't leave, and said that at some point, the music business simply became his hobby, a hobby that pays. The man who walked away from fame ended up everywhere. You just never saw his face again. Next, the most dangerous phone number in America. 867-5309/Jenny. Tommy Two-Tone, 1981. A catchy rock song about a number scrawled on a wall. The problem? That number was real. In area code after area code, whoever happened to own 867-5309 was buried in prank calls asking for Jenny for decades. People fought over the number. Businesses bought it as a marketing stunt. One song turned 7 digits into a 40-year national prank. The band faded, the number never did. Now for pure genius hiding behind a smile. Don't worry, be happy. Bobby McFerrin, 1988. Most people file it away as a novelty song. Here's what they miss. It was the first a cappella song ever to reach #1 in America. Every sound in it is McFerrin's own voice, and the man behind it is one of the most gifted musicians alive, a 10-time Grammy winner who went on to conduct some of the world's great orchestras. The novelty act was quietly a virtuoso. Time to lift off. Take On Me, Aha, 1985. In America, they're the definition of a one-hit wonder. One perfect synth-pop single and that legendary pencil sketch video. But that's only true in America. Everywhere else on Earth, Aha never went away. They filled stadiums for 40 years and once played to nearly 200,000 people at a single show. One of the largest paying audiences in the history of live music. They aren't a band that vanished. They're a band America lost track of. And now, the heart of this list. Lovin' You, Minnie Riperton, 1975. That impossibly high birdsong voice floating over a melody so gentle it barely exists. Here's what you don't know. That melody began as a lullaby, something Minnie hummed to distract her baby daughter. And at the end of the full version of the song, you can hear her softly singing that baby's name, Maya, Maya. That baby grew up to be Maya Rudolph, the comedy star of Saturday Night Live. In January 1976, less than a year after the song hit #1, Minnie was diagnosed with breast cancer. Doctors gave her 6 months. She refused to stop. At a time when breast cancer was something nobody said out loud, not on television, not in magazines, Minnie Riperton stood up and said it. She became one of the very first celebrities to go public with the disease, and her calm, open honesty helped pull it out of the shadows for millions of women. She became a spokesperson for the American Cancer Society, stood at the White House to receive a Courage Award from President Jimmy Carter, and kept recording and touring for 3 more years, never telling the public that her diagnosis was terminal. She died in July 1979 at just 31 in her husband's arms, listening to a recording Stevie Wonder had made for her. Her gravestone carries the first line of her song, "Lovin' you is easy 'cause you're beautiful." Maya was 6 years old. The lullaby is still playing half a century later. Let's catch our breath with something lighter. Blue Dabba Dee, Eiffel 65, 1999. 3 guys from Italy, one hypnotic hook about a blue man in a blue world, and a global #1. Where did they go? Nowhere sad. They're still out there, touring the nostalgia circuit, playing that song to arenas full of people who were kids in 1999. Some one-hit wonders fight their song. These guys ride it like a wave. Here's the secret architect of the list. Closing Time, Semisonic, 1998. Every bar in the world still plays it at last call. But frontman Dan Wilson buried a secret in it. The song isn't about a bar at all. He wrote it while his wife was expecting. I Know Who I Want to Take Me Home is about a baby about to be born. And after Semisonic faded, Wilson became one of the most important songwriters of the modern era. He co-wrote Not Ready to Make Nice with the Dixie Chicks, Grammy Song of the Year. Then he co-wrote a little song with a young British singer named Adele. It was called Someone Like You. The one-hit wonder helped write one of the defining heartbreak songs of the century. Now, the Party Crashers. Who Let the Dogs Out? Baha Men, 2000. Easy to mock until you learn the Baha Men had been performing for some 2 decades before that song, that it was actually a cover, and that it won a Grammy. The silliest song of its year took home music's most serious hardware. This one is quieter. Seasons in the Sun, Carrie Jack's 1974. A gentle, devastating song about a dying man saying goodbye, adapted from a French original, and it went to #1 around the world. Jax, a Canadian, then largely stepped away from stardom and poured himself into environmental activism, spending years fighting to protect the waters and forests of British Columbia. The man who sang about goodbyes chose to spend his life on preservation. 2 more before the finale. 99 Luftballons, Nina, 1983. A German-language protest song about balloons triggering nuclear war in the middle of the Cold War that somehow soared up the American charts. In the States, Nina was never heard from again. In Germany, she became and remains one of the biggest stars in the country's history. Like Aha, she didn't disappear, we did. And Crash Test Dummies, 1993. That impossibly deep voice, that strange, sad song about wounded children. It was mocked and adored in equal measure, and the band simply carried on. Still recording, still touring, decades later, completely unbothered by whether anyone called them a punchline. There's a lesson in that. Which brings us to the finale, the greatest injustice on this list, and the only one with a happy ending. Bittersweet Symphony, The Verve, 1997. Those swelling strings, Richard Ashcroft walking down the street, refusing to move for anyone. In America, it was their only hit, and it was taken from them almost immediately. The strings sampled a few seconds of an orchestral cover of an old Rolling Stones song, and the Stones' former manager sued, claiming they'd used more than agreed. The settlement was brutal. The band said they were first told it would be a 50-50 split, and then, when the single started selling, the demand changed. Give up 100% or take the song out of the shops. The Verve surrendered everything. The writing credit was changed to Jagger and Richards. And for one of the most beloved songs of the decade, a song that generated an estimated $5 million, Richard Ashcroft received a grand total of $1,000. He carried that wound for 22 years. He called it having one of his children taken away. And then, in 2019, something happened that almost never happens in the music business. Ashcroft's managers made one last appeal, And Mick Jagger and Keith Richards personally agreed to give the song back. All of it. The rights, the future royalties, and their names removed from the credits, acknowledging what everyone always knew. The song was Richards. Ashcroft called it a kind and magnanimous gesture from Mick and Keith. 22 years after it was taken, Bittersweet Symphony finally came home. So that's 12 more. A man who chose invisibility and wrote hits from the shadows. A phone number that terrorized strangers for 40 years. A lullaby that outlived the mother who sang it. A last call anthem that was secretly about a baby being born. And a stolen symphony, returned at last by the very legends whose name it carried. The songs were never the whole story. They never are. One hit is all it takes to live forever. But the lives behind those hits, that's where the real music is. If you missed part 1, it's waiting for you right here. And tell us in the comments, which one-hit wonder should we dig into next? Because we're not done.